Morning friends, my name is Karthikeyan. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Assam Agriculture University's incubator located in Jorhat, Assam. We are also popularly known as the Northeast Agri Technology Entrepreneurs Hub, NEET eHub. We are a Section 8 company and have been registered as an incubator providing mentoring services, coaching services and many other related assistance that is provided for startup entrepreneurs. We cater to the entire northeast of India. So let me talk about what is happening in the case of science and technology and what it has been doing for innovations to happen and how startups are actually taking advantage of these kind of innovations by blending appropriate technologies for providing solutions to various problems that is actually faced in the society. So on the one hand, we are all aware that there's a lot that the youth is undergoing in the current times when they are finding that jobs are just becoming very difficult. In fact, you have more job seekers today than you had almost about a decade ago for of course various reasons. And there has been a steady movement to turn these job seekers into job creators, and towards that the incubation initiative taken by the government of India and the startup policies that various state governments have adopted have all been leading to a situation where we are seeing many entrepreneurs, budding ones, who are turning to taking up putting up their own startups. One of the things I want to mention here is that when we see there are entrepreneurs or turning to be entrepreneurs who come to us, most often they come with different kinds of backgrounds. We are very happy to see engineers, students who have passed out of elite institutions such as IIT or IIMs, who are turning into the agri segment or biotech segment. Somehow the graduates from agri colleges and related institutions of allied agriculture don't seem to be so interested in moving towards this. Of course, for various reasons, maybe they are finding it lucrative to sit through competitive exams and move into a job creation kind of situation. But then what seriously we are lacking currently is that aspiring entrepreneurs are always coming up with the finality of what they want to offer as a solution. So they say that this is our solution and this is what we are offering to you. Whereas most times those solutions might not be really so useful because there is no such urgent need perhaps on the ground, or perhaps those solutions are not solving any particular burning problem that is either locally prevalent, or you might find it in the domestic market. So in short, what is happening is solutions are first built rather than identifying what the problem is. So at our center, we keep harping on the point that unless we understand what problem you are trying to solve, come to us by identifying a few problems you have seen on the ground for which you would like to provide a solution, for which you seem to have a solution which is niche, which has got a USP in it. You have carved out something which makes a big difference and you are able to solve that problem. So most often we see entrepreneurs are not able to identify that as a problem, and they first jump into a solution, and well, that does not need much because it is typically like marketing your solution or marketing of your inventory literally without much innovation in the product itself. And so you can well see it will perhaps not scale with times to come. So the scalability aspect of it has direct bearing on whether such a venture will be sustainable or will it not stand the test of time. So these are issues that we keep seeing when people come to us. So our entire focus has been that we promote entrepreneurs to identify problems which they might have observed in their local setting, or they must have come across a problem which has been very easily overcome in some other part of the world. can the same be mapped over here? Like in say Assam itself or in the entire northeast, you see we have pristine climatic conditions out here, and most often we see that there is a lot of rainfall, there is a lot of moisture out here in the air, a lot of humidity. So anything that you touch and feel, you will have moisture content in it. There is a lot of water in commodities. What can be done to extract that water or remove the excess of that water? So there are several technologies which are available. We really feel happy if some entrepreneurs could come ahead, talk to us, talk to people on the ground as to what could be the kind of solutions they are coming up with, and blend it with technology, because what has been done traditionally perhaps is not able to reach a scale, right. So to reach a scale, you can use technology to enable that. I can give you several examples of that. For example, in the second aspect of what I want to speak to you about is, we have certain startups who have come to us with some very unique problems that they are trying to solve through their solutions. So as you all know, we have a huge deficiency of vitamin D in the in the setting that we are currently in. A lot of urbanites find this issue that they are not stepping out of their homes, either they are having very stationary sedentary lives, they are not getting enough sunshine, and that is leading to a problem of deficiency of vitamin D in the body. And you all know what vitamin D deficiency, what kind of a havoc it could do to our human body. So there is this unique startup by name Innotech Agri Paustikam, who have come up with solving that problem of vitamin D by enhancing the amount of vitamin D in mushroom. So they have come up with a particular patented inoculum which they developed themselves, and of course they got a funding for that from the Department of Science and Technology. And what they did is they are enhancing it using UV light system, and there is a particular process that they follow. It's a patented process that they do, and they are producing mushroom spawn, the seed basically, and then they are giving it to user groups, farmer groups, producer groups, who can procure these mushroom spawns from this company. What it is doing is that the farmers or the producers of mushroom are able to get better quality of mushroom, which is enhanced in vitamin D. And once it hits the market, it is already there in the market currently, last couple of years in Assam and in the neighboring states. What it is doing is, there are further entrepreneurs in the value chain who are doing value addition to it by making biscuits out of it or bakery items out of it by using a bit of mushroom in that. And they are seeing that typically when children don't feel very happy eating a cooked meal, for example, and they always crave for say chocolates and biscuits, these are better things to substitute with. So vitamin D content is also ensured, and I think that's a great way to solve an existing problem or address a situation where vitamin D is prevalent largely in India. Similarly, I will give you another example of how you find abundance of say jackfruit or papaya that is grown here in northeast. Papaya is grown in abundance in the northeast, and there is no much value added products that people are doing, and even those products which people are doing, they are not doing to a scale with the same amount of quality that we are looking at. So to serve that, and because there is an abundance of papaya, as I said, so we have a unique company by name VS Solutions. So what they do is they extract papain from raw stages of papaya, and what they do, that papain which is extracted is hugely in demand for industrial purposes. It's used in several industry sectors, and what the company does is it has got a sort of a contract farming. It does with a lot of farmer groups here in northeast, and the leftover part of the papaya, after you have extracted the papain, even that fruit which is left over, they buy back and make several value added products out of it, like tutti frutti or candy. So tutti frutti, as you know, is hugely used in the ice cream industry. It's used in the bakery and dairy industry. So they are into value added format of products that they have brought to the shelf now. So I think it is very important to blend technology with what has been done traditionally. Let me give you another example. We find that when we talk technology, we are not talking about technology only in an ICT enabling kind of a situation. We are talking about technology which is very homegrown. For example, we see a lot of rainfall, abundance of floods which happen at particular times, during which time the cattle suffer the most because they just don't get feed during those months. Some months like say July, August, September, or even till October. So what has happened is that there is a company in fact which has come up with solution which is called silage for cattle. What is silage? Silage is simply fodder which is green fodder. So what they do is, fodder for cattle is typically any sort of a grass which has got the right amount of say nutritive value in it, it's got lactic acid and things like that in it. It's not dry hay, so it should be better than dry hay. So what this company does is, it makes farmers grow simple crops like say corn, for example. They grow corn. Corn is grown a lot in Moregaon and those kind of areas. And what they do, they have made these farmers sustain on their own by growing corn, and at least at the second stage they do the harvesting of corn, the second milking stage they do harvesting of the corn. Then they use a chopper. There is a particular way in which it is chopped, shredded frankly, and that shredded part of the nutritive or vegetative growth of corn is with its own lactic acid and milk and all of that intact in it, is compressed together in 50 kg kind of bags devoid of any air in it, so that without oxygen, and then they add few inoculants to that, which will help in making it better and ferment it quickly, so that it has a very crunchy kind of a texture for the cattle to eat. Cattle take up so much to it, and this has been used at Sita Jakala dairy farm, and using this silage the milk producing capacity has also enhanced in these kind of cattle and animals that we are seeing. So I think this is the blending of technology that we are talking about. There are several other such kind of technologies which are typically there in laboratories we see, and most often we see that these kind of technologies have never come out of labs to the land, and it is time that youth look forward to taking this up. They take it up with the kind of earnestness that yes, they would like to solve a certain kind of a problem using these technologies, and I think it's going to be win-win, not just for the producer, not just for the entrepreneur who is working there, but the entire value chain. And that value chain, slowly as it gets developed, we get to see that there are more and more success stories which are homegrown. We don't have to look at success stories which are in some other part of the world. There are several such budding entrepreneurs who are doing this kind of work. And just to give you an overview of what we at the incubator do, as I mentioned, we are a Section 8 company. We are a not-for-profit incubator that has been registered under the Companies Act. We are under the aegis of the Assam Agricultural University. We are headquartered in Jorhat. We have close to about 16,000 square feet of area, which has been developed into co-working spaces. We have got laboratories, both dry and wet labs, for various kind of testing that entrepreneurs could come over here to do. We have set up a robotics lab with smart analytics and artificial intelligence that could be done. We got 3D printing out here, so that budding entrepreneurs could come here and test out their prototypes in terms of the design part of it. We also have a lot of meeting rooms, seminar halls. We encourage our startups and entrepreneurs to come use them for their own stakeholder meetings. In addition to that, we have got some world-class infrastructure here in terms of interactive panel where you could do your presentations, you could do Zoom meetings. You don't need to spend an extra amount of money for doing any of these kind of activities out of your own pockets. We have got a fantastic staff out here. We are very active on the entire social media. Not just us, but we also help our startups in building their stories in the social media, and we take a lot of pride in our startups. Since the time it's been incepted, this company, we have close to about 87 entrepreneurs. The current batch has almost about 47 entrepreneurs. of course not just from Assam, but the entire northeast region states like Manipur, Meghalaya, we have people from Tripura, Sikkim as well. So there is a lot that is happening, and it is across the entire spectrum of agriculture and allied agriculture. So we run two important programs for them. So what we do, we incubate entrepreneurs who are at an idea stage as well as who are at an early stage of startup. So these two programs, the one which is at the idea stage, the entrepreneurs, we call that as an Isanya program. Under the Isanya program, we have a 8-week incubation process, and by the end of the process, they come out and they are able to be curated. I mean, we curate their entire business plans that they have, or if they have an innovative idea, there might be fine tuning that needs to be done, a validation that needs to be done on this, maybe test it on a few beta customers to check whether this works. And the whole idea is to give them business coaching. So we don't stop at anything lesser than that. The entire 8-week module is all about just business, business and business. And the focus, while it is on business, we also help them with technical mentoring or technical advisory, because it's a university. We got a lot of our agriculture universities experts who from time to time we co-opt to help these budding innovative, innovative startups or entrepreneurs to help them validate that process. The second program is focused on early stage of startups. Those startups who have already registered themselves, whose products are already out in the market, and perhaps they need just a little more nudging or a little more support or facilitation to either scale or to market their products better, or even accessing the right kind of funding, for example. Both our programs have a funding aspect to it. Under the idea stage, we provide a maximum funding of 5 lakh rupees, and under the startup stage, we provide a maximum of 25 lakh rupees. And our center or our incubator is funded under two programs. One program which is the Atal Innovation Mission, called the Atal Incubation Centers in the country. We are one of them. So we are having funding close to about 10 crores from Niti Aayog, Government of India. We are also getting funded by the RKVY Raftar scheme of the Department of Agriculture, Government of India. So these two programs largely currently we are doing under that. In addition to this, we also come across often, because we could not base all of this only on a cohort style. So we have short programs where we help entrepreneurs who come to us asking for some specific hand holding or technical expertise that they need from us on, for example, how to go to the market, go to market strategy, how to pivot a strategy in times of this kind of a COVID, how do they make a change to their existing business plan or maybe even investment plan. So we help them with these kind of aspects of their business. The best part about our incubator is we have got a good network of mentors. We have got a mentor pool, not just which is from Northeast India, we have got them mentors connected from South of India, West of India. So a lot of them who are very eager to work with our budding entrepreneurs from the Northeast in agri and allied agri sector, because that is the focus of our incubator. In addition to this, we also have a pool of investors who are both angel and from the corporate world, who are wanting to invest in those companies which are investable at some stage. So they are right at the fledgling stage of these incubatees, are wanting to work with them to understand how serious are these people about their business. So there is a lot of technology that we are trying to bring from the laboratories out to the land in our own small attempt. These two programs that we have, Isanya and Saranya, for the idea stage and the startup stage, we have a very rigorous process of shortlisting our entrepreneurs. So at the first stage, it is like a knockout round. We call for applications, and those who fulfill the basic criteria, we see if they are fulfilling that, and those who do not, we have a process of shaffing them, sieving them off. The second stage we have where we do an internal assessment on what is the problem that these entrepreneurs have identified which they wish to solve, and is that problem being solved using a kind of a technology that is already existing, or is it something which is so unique, very out of the world, how do we get it validated, so on and so forth. And then there is a third stage where we refer these incubatee or the shortlisted entrepreneurs to the next level, where we have a screening committee, a committee that comprises of entrepreneurs, people from academia, from the industry, from financial institutions as well, and they go through this application process and then they shortlist that. So we call those shortlisted at the third stage. At the fourth stage we call them for a pitching session. So these people come to us, we give them time to pitch to us as to what their proposition is, what kind of a problem are they trying to solve, what is the uniqueness about their solution, and what is the team that is backing them up, that they feel very confident that they can do this kind of work. So looking at all of this, then we have a final stage where we bring them to finalization of these incubatees, so as to be onboarded into our incubation program. So the numbers look very different. So in short, so if we get say about 300 applications at the stage 1, finally we get to onboard just about 12 of them onto our incubation process or the program. So that is the kind of rigor that we follow, and we take pride in this because we know there are a lot of them who are very aspiring, but maybe not all of them are so committed to wanting to pursue this. Maybe they are really not solving some burning problem out there in the society, and so therefore they might not need to go through this entire process the way we are looking at it. Maybe they are good in doing kind of a trading kind of a business that they are already into, and they are mistaking themselves to be an entrepreneur. Maybe they might not have the rigor that is needed to take on a lot of financial risk for being an entrepreneur. So we do not dissuade them, but we put them to a process of understanding what the ecosystem is going to play out as. So our endeavor is to make sure that these entrepreneurs are able to take those measured steps while wanting to serve a bigger cause perhaps. It's not just about the money aspect of it or just the business aspect of it, but also being able to be useful to the community, to the cluster, to the society at large. And so going through this entire process, we have in the past about a year and a half developed several partnerships, institutional partnerships with institutions such as CSIR NEAST, with NID Jorhat, with Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship at Guwahati, IAAST, the Assam Startup Nest, the Assam Startup Policy, IIT Guwahati, the Biotech Park, and several such institutions, including people at NABARD, ICRISAT in Hyderabad, Manage at Hyderabad. So several institutions, including our incubation program, which is run under a initiative which the Atal Innovation Mission has embarked on, which brings us wisdom combined of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Wadhwani Foundation. So we run a program that is based on global practices. So we are giving a global perspective with a local touch to these kind of programs that we are offering to our budding entrepreneurs. So I would once again like to say that of course we have a wonderful team that is rolling out all of this, and we would love our entrepreneurs to take advantage of this and bring in the much needed technology, because if we are doing things still in a very traditional manner, it might really not be very disruptive. We would soon come to a situation where it just cannot be scaled, and something which cannot be scaled might really not have an impact, and something which is not having an impact on people, I think it's like just any other Me Too kind of a business. So we urge entrepreneurs, we urge young budding students who are just going to move out of the college. My appeal is that, our appeal from the incubator is that just don't look to be yet another job seeker. Try to be a job creator. There's a lot that the world is undergoing, and I think it's all about adapting to it. There's a more that we have got to offer. We must take pride in what we are doing and stand up to rise up to the occasion and be job creators, frankly. And our entire incubator and its team assures you that come to us here at Jorhat, speak to us, talk to us, anything that we can do to help you put up this kind of a system in place that can impact lives around us, right from back end producer to the front, the markets and the buyers. We could do a lot in the entire value chain. With that, have a lovely day. Our best wishes to you. Be successful. Jai Hind.